David Bowie was never just a musician, was he? He was something else entirely. More like a living, breathing art installation. A true master architect of pop culture who taught us that identity isn't this fixed thing. Nope. It's something you can build up, tear right down, and then build all over again, completely new. And you gotta love this quote from the man himself. He knew it right from the very beginning. And this isn't just him being arrogant. Not at all. It's more like a mission statement. It kind of pulls back the curtain, you know? It shows you the self-aware genius behind it all. The fact that he understood his personas were just that, constructs, perfectly designed to make a splash. So that's the big question, right? How on earth did this one guy from Brixton manage to become, well, all of those things? A cosmic messenger, a soul singer, a pop icon, and yeah, even a dying prophet. How did he pull off these insane transformations over and over again? Well, that's what we're going to dig into. We're going to break down the method behind the magic of David Bowie. Okay, so Act 1. It all starts with his very first reinvention, and honestly, it's maybe the most important one. Before he could ever be an alien, he had to stop being David Jones. Seriously, there was another singer from the Monkees with the same name. So he picked Bowie, after the knife. And looking back, how perfect is that? A name that would literally cut through every single norm in music. And that brings us to Major Tom. Now, you gotta remember, it's 1969. The whole world is cheering, looking up at the moon landing with this sense of triumph. And what does Bowie give us? A story about existential dread. Major Tom isn't some glorious hero. He's this lonely, isolated soul just floating in a tin can, looking down at us all. And right there, that's it. That's the outsider perspective that would fuel his creativity for years to come. All right, let's move into Act 2. Because if Major Tom and Space Oddity were the spark, what came next was a full-on cultural supernova. I'm talking, of course, about the arrival of Ziggy Stardust. This is the moment, right here, where David Bowie goes from being this really interesting musician to an absolute phenomenon. And there he is. I mean, look at him. Ziggy wasn't just some character Bowie put on for a show. No way. For a while there, he was Ziggy Stardust, this flame-haired, omnisexual alien messenger sent to a dying Earth to save us with rock and roll. He just completely shattered every rule about gender, performance, everything. When you break it down like this, you really see the genius at work. I mean, the aesthetic, those jumpsuits, the platform boots, totally otherworldly. Then you have the sound, that raw, ferocious guitar from Mick Ronson mixed with pop hooks. That pretty much defined glam rock. But the impact, that's the big one. He created this sanctuary for all the misfits, a signal to anyone who felt different that, hey, you're not alone, you're seen. So, Ziggy is a massive star. The whole world is obsessed. And what does Bowie do? He does the unthinkable. He kills him off. Live on stage, he didn't even tell his band. He just gets up there and announces that it's the last show they'll ever do. It was shocking, but Bowie got it. He knew that for a persona to become a true legend, it has to end. It can't last forever. So, Ziggy is dead. Bowie's conquered the UK as this androgynous alien. What's the next logical step? Well, for Bowie, it was to conquer America, but not with more glam rock. Oh no. He did a complete 180. Pivoting to a sound nobody saw coming. He actually called it plastic soul. I mean, the audacity, right? But he just dove headfirst into the world of R&B and soul music, creating the album Young Americans. And you know what? It worked. It was so good, so authentic sounding, that he landed a spot on Soul Train, which was a huge deal, a really rare thing for a white artist back then. But as he was hitting it big in America, a pretty dark shadow started to fall. This was his Los Angeles period. And let's just say it was intense. Out of all that excess and paranoia, he created maybe his most chilling persona ever, the Thin White Duke. This wasn't a playful alien anymore. This was something cold, hollow, and frankly, kind of dangerous. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. All that vibrant, colorful, life-affirming energy of Ziggy, it's just gone. Replaced by this stark, black and white, emotionless aristocrat. And the music followed suit. It went from these huge glam rock anthems to this really strange and fascinating bridge between soul music and the avant-garde electronics he was about to dive into. When you see it laid out like this, it's just wow. The pace is absolutely breathless. Think about it. In just 7 years, he's an isolated astronaut, then an alien messiah, then a post-apocalyptic cat, then this hollowed-out aristocrat. It's insane. And that last persona, the Duke, it had become a kind of prison. He had to get out, to literally save himself. So, where does he run? He escapes to West Berlin. And this wasn't just, a cool change of scenery. This was a deliberate act of survival. He needed to get away from LA, away from the drugs, and shed the skin of the Thin White Duke for good. He went to Berlin to try and become anonymous again. And what's so fascinating about this period is that the reinvention wasn't about a new character with a new costume. This time, he reinvented his entire creative process. He embraced the minimalist electronic sounds happening in Germany, what they called krautrock. And working with the legendary Brian Eno, he started using this cut-up technique for lyrics, basically chopping up sentences and rearranging them. And out of all of this experimentation comes Heroes, one of the greatest songs ever written. So after all that intense, dark, artsy experimentation in Berlin, what does he do next? Of course, a complete 180. He gets a tan, throws on a sharp suit, teams up with Nile Rodgers, and creates Let's Dance. This album was just a pure, joyful pop masterpiece. It made him a global megastar for the MTV age. He finally became the ultimate insider, but you could always see he still had that little outsider's wink in his eye. Okay, so after the huge success of the 80s, he kind of pulls back. He keeps experimenting, but then after a health scare, he basically goes silent for about a decade. For a lot of people, it felt like he was done, retired. But the master of Metamorphosis had one last, incredible, astonishing performance up his sleeve. And it happened on January 8th, 2016, his 69th birthday. He drops a brand new album, Blackstar. And it's not some easy listening pop record. It's challenging, it's weird, it's infused with jazz. It was a total surprise, this huge artistic statement out of nowhere. And then, 2 days later, just 2 days, the whole world understood why he'd released it. The news broke that David Bowie was gone. And in that instant, the entire album, every single note and every word, was seen in a completely new and totally heartbreaking light. Look up here. I'm in heaven. I've got scars that can't be seen. These lines from the song Lazarus, suddenly they weren't just lyrics in a song anymore, were they? They were a message, a farewell. He had literally turned his own death into his final, incredible piece of art, and we were just starting to get it. It's the ultimate reinvention. Blackstar wasn't just a collection of songs, it was performance art about dying, a meticulously planned parting gift, as his producer called it, a final, shocking act from the master himself. So that brings us all the way back to the beginning. Why did this chameleon, all his changes, all his characters, why did it all matter so much? What's the real takeaway from the incredible story of David Bowie? Well, here's the thing. For Bowie, the mask wasn't about hiding. It was actually a way to be more honest, more vulnerable. He completely broke the mold of the macho rock star. He blew the doors open for generations of performers, from Madonna to Lady Gaga, to be whoever they wanted to be. But maybe the biggest thing, the thing he left for all of us, is this idea that you can turn and face the strange, that you have the power to reinvent yourself. In the end, you realize his greatest creation, it wasn't Ziggy Stardust. It wasn't the Thin White Duke. His greatest creation was the very idea of David Bowie. This constant, fearless experiment in what it even means to be an artist, to be a human being. The chameleon may have left the stage, but his colors, they're never, ever gonna fade.